Hello, I'm Ross Twiddell from Cultaholic.com. You are a sexual wank pheasant, and welcome to all of the WTF moments from Friday Night SmackDown, an episode of SmackDown that I thought was rumbling along to be yet another meh episode of a blue brand show until big sweaty red face with his little eyes Brock Lesnar started throwing corpses around in a devastating manner, and then we got a really fun main event where the crowd was invested. I had a great time watching that, so it was a SmackDown of two halves. There's some analysis for you. Hit the pissing intro. WTF! And we kick things off with a Cultaholic sign that was front and centre, right in the middle of the shot, right at the start of the show. Thank you goes to a man called Matt Parker. And of course, this is always a WTF moment because, Mom, I'm on the telly. And now we get into the ring, and judging from last week's Raw, if you would ask me before Friday Night SmackDown, Ross, what is one thing you do not expect to see on this show? I would have said to you, Ric Flair with a live microphone. You know fine well why, after Ric Flair himself was stood on last week's Raw saying things like, "Hey pal, I've got the last hand to play. Tell your girlfriend that." Haha, fingering. But he did have one though, so WTF. So first of all, there is Shorty G stood next to Ali. I guess we've got a Shorty A then. And while we're at it, WWE, why don't we just get it over with and call Daniel Bryan Shorty D, and then maybe call Bo Dallas Average Height B, and Paul Heyman Fatty P. But Fatty spelled PH at the start because he's cool. And second of all, I've got to mention it, why the hell was Shorty G wearing the things he was wearing on Friday Night SmackDown? And you can just tell the creative process that went into that utter bollocks we're looking at there. Some boffin backstage was thinking, what would Vince McMahon like? What's the opposite to a short person? That would be a tall person. What do tall people do in their spare time? They play basketball. Vinny, let's dress Shorty G up in a basketball attire. And while most rational human beings, of course, would go, pals, the name is enough. We don't need to dress him up in a basketball attire. But of course, Vince McMahon heard that creative input from that creative boffin, and no doubt about it, he shouted right back in his face, "That's good shit!" But to round off this WTF moment about Shorty G, I have the following quote from Shorty G himself, when he said, "The Miz started giving me ideas and explained why a lot of my really serious ideas weren't working. I started to understand his vision, and now I'm off and running with this new character. I'm going to have a great time with it, and I can't wait to sink me teeth into it." So the Miz is all to blame here. The Miz is still a heel. "Why would you do that to your friend, Mike?" "I'm the man to my light," said the Miz. And it was clear to me that the Miz had Randy Orton's old theme, "Burning My Light," playing in the earpieces that were inside of his ears. Although with Mike's role, that was made clear to us by Shorty G in the creation of Shorty G, there's no real surprise that Mike doesn't know what's right, because that's wrong. And next up we have one big Terrence Bollea speaking to Ric Flair when Terrence said, "Well, you should check the history books, brother. You have never beaten me, dude." So first of all, Terrence, dude, you're 66, man. And second of all, Terrence, I have had a look at the proper history books, so I'm here to tell you that Tricky Dicky Ricky Flair has beaten you no less than 13 times. You might have 63 wins against Flair in singles matches, but Flair in those same singles matches has 13 W's over your L's, brother, dude. And just in case you're wondering, the most recent of those victories for Tricky Dicky Ric Flair took place at Uncensored 1999 in that first blood steel cage match ting. But there we have a rather shocking occurrence of WWE and Hulk Hogan pretending things that Hulk did in the past didn't actually happen. Never seen that before. And now we have a direct quote from Ali about Sami Zayn. "He doesn't even compete anymore. He's just a mouthpiece. And that's really ironic considering how bad his breath stinks." And I didn't realise the people who put together that utter dross were also responsible for the real-life WWE scripts. What the... And next up we have Roman Reigns telling big baldy bastard Baron Corbin that he has a stupid crown and a stupid cape and a stupid scepter, even though anybody with a working pair of eyes can see that in terms of kings in WWE, big baldy bastard Baron Corbin's getup is by far the best we've ever seen. And anyway, big dog, I'd rather be wearing big baldy bastard Baron Corbin's getup than your silly laser tag vest. And because I'm an overweight professional wrestling fan who wears nothing but black t-shirts every day of the week, I know my fashion, so I do, so shut up, man. So somehow, someway, Sami Zayn knew that Hulk Hogan was going to challenge him and big baldy bastard Baron Corbin and Shinsuke Nakamura to a 6-man tag match on Friday Night SmackDown before the show had even started. This is a hard one to wrap your head around. So then, because of this, Sami somehow knew before SmackDown started that Hogan was going to challenge them to a 6-man tag match. So Sami told Cesaro, "Hello, Big Dick Tony, you wait in Gorilla. I'll get challenged by Hogan. I'll turn down Hogan's challenge just for me because I'm on the do not touch list. And I'll go, look at there, it's Big Dick Tony. Your music will start." How the hell did Sami know how to do this when he did? Hack theory. There is a snake or a worm on Team Flair, and it is not Randy Orton. Somebody on Team Flair is in cahoots with Team Hogan, otherwise mystical Sami Zayn, who appeared at the start of Friday Night SmackDown, simply does not make sense. And I reckon, I don't care who it is. Mago. Brock Lesnar goes face to face with that demon, Cain Velasquez, said Michael Cole. Now you knew this before you even said that, Michael Cole, but you still said it anyway for some silly reason. There's only one Demon Cain in all of WWE ever, and it's not that evolved version of Dominick Mysterios. Knob. Now isn't it weird that WWE's YouTube channel is a sports YouTube channel, even though WWE is not a sport? Now I don't know if you knew this beforehand. I'm sorry if you had somebody who looks like that telling you that professional wrestling is fake and you're stupid for liking it, even though films and TV shows who pretend they're real even though they're not, they exist as a thing as well. But anyway, pro wrestling cannot be a sport because it's predetermined. What kind of professional workplace is this, Corey Graves asks, as Big E throws his jacket at him for some raunchy reason, no doubt. And I don't think I need to say anything else about that quote right now because you know fine well why that's a WTF moment. So let's move on with our lives. Now what WWE did to Kofi Kingston on the first episode of Friday Night SmackDown with Brock Lesnar was absolute bollocks. This much we know. But while Kofi Kingston was going, "Whee! Daddy Brock, take me for a ride, spin me with an F5, I love it," I was thinking surely, as Kofi lost his WWE Championship in about half a second, this is going to be playing a smaller part in a bigger storyline. But then as the weeks have gone on, I've realised that Kofi has just been relegated back into the New Day as if this title reign never happened. And then we got to Friday Night SmackDown, where no less than Dolph Ziggler rolled up Kofi Kingston in about 10 seconds in a random meaningless tag team match. And basically, when I saw that happening to Kofi Kingston, it's Dolph Ziggler for Christ's sake. But I thought to myself, Vince McMahon, you can suck my bollocks, you twat. Yeah. One question, what the hell has Kofi Kingston done backstage to deserve the treatment he's got since Friday Night SmackDown became Friday Night SmackDown? It's baffling. Hack theory is going global. But that sign there begs a question. First of all, who is Chad Gable? But second of all, could Sunny be the legitimate biological mother of Chad Gable, whoever Chad Gable is? And by the way, if you didn't know, way back in the day, Dolph Ziggler and Sunny had relations for like 9 hours one night or something. And then Sunny took a picture of Dolph Ziggler when he was asleep to prove that she'd hoofed him. Cain and Dominick are different people. Barely broke a sweat, did Lacey Evans, said Michael Cole in a really exaggerated manner after Lacey Evans toppled Cameron Connors. Remember the name. Or don't. Was Michael Cole really impressed that a massive athletic woman like Lacey Evans used to be in the military? All that malarkey, you know the score. Was he really impressed that she, of all people, did not break a sweat because all she did was run 5 yards and throw a punch? I could do that, and diabetes is going to end my life by the time I'm 35. It's a shock, I know I'm not 35 yet, haha. Made a grave mistake, Corey. Direct quote from Corey Graves now when he said it's our understanding that Bray Wyatt has spent the last several weeks rebuilding the Firefly Funhouse. So my illegitimate brother Bray Wyatt was rebuilding his Firefly Funhouse before the Funhouse was even burnt down? Bray Wyatt must have known the Firefly Funhouse was going to get burnt down, but let it get burnt down anyway. Why the hell would he do that? Insurance job. I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's not the first time Bray Wyatt's lost a house to a fire. I wonder how much he got from Randy Orton burning his shed down a couple of years ago. It must have been a lot for him to try again. So they're still going with the match cannot be stopped for any reason bollocks without explaining further what can actually stop this match. Pinfall doesn't matter. Submission, get out of town. Knockout on either side, you're sipping the wrong tea, sister. But seriously though, with that tagline there, expect this match to end in a really infuriating double knockout with no winner declared, because that's what they're going to do, innit? Now it would appear that Daniel Bryan rocked up to Friday Night SmackDown with an AWA shirt on, judging by what we can see in that picture there, but Vince McMahon told Daniel Bryan to turn that shirt inside out because we cannot be given free publicity to the new startup promotion put on by Messrs Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes, can we? That's right, everybody. I strongly believe that Vince McMahon believes he's feuding with the AWA, the poison. And that's because, boys and girls, Vince McMahon, I believe, is a silly old man. The AWA went defunct all the way back in 1991. And next up we have Ronald Mysterios claiming that his son Dom got done by Brock Lesnar inside that very ring there, the one he was stood in right there. And that's even though we all know that Raw and Friday Night SmackDown, they have their own rings. They don't share custody of a ring, Ray, just because you and Eddie did over Dominick way back in the day. That's right, boys and girls. Dominick is Eddie's biological son. Mind-blowing stuff. What a preposterous thought. And speaking of Ronald Mysterios as a father, as a daddy, I don't expect him to be winning any Daddy of the Year awards anytime soon. Now, we knew before this angle kicked off that Ronald Mysterios was not a good dad because, of course, all the way back in 2005, instead of making things proper in a court of law like any other human being would, he put the status of his not biological son on the line in a ladder match against a deranged, psychopathic, evil man called Eddie Guerrero. Any court of law would have seen Eddie Guerrero all the way back in 2005, watch an episode of SmackDown and thought, hey, we can't be giving the son to him. But Ray was like, no, ladders, I want to fight, because he's silly. And now on Friday Night SmackDown, we have Ronald Mysterios leaving Dominick backstage all by himself, even though he knew Brock Lesnar was in the arena. Why wasn't Dom always standing behind Cain Velasquez, the man who Ronald Mysterios, of course, has brought into WWE to protect him and to fight his battles? We all know Brock Lesnar's a diddler. In the Cultaholic Wrestling podcast sense of the word and none other. So of course he was going to try and get to Dominick. If you leave him by himself, what's Cain there for if you're not going to use him properly? He's like the APA, but Mexican. He's always pounding ass. Made a grave mistake. And next up we have Corey Graves claiming that Brock Lesnar was relatively new to the MMA world when he lost that fight to Cain Velasquez all the way back in 2010. Now at the time, Big Brock with his little eyes, so funny, had 6 MMA fights in the UFC octagon, whereas Cain had 9, and that's basically the same. And what's more, Corey Graves, you're forgetting that in that fight, Cain Velasquez took the UFC Heavyweight Championship of the world away from Brock Lesnar, and that's a belt you don't get if you're not very good. But in terms of UFC fights on the big stage, they were just about the same. So Corey was talking bollocks there, son. So obviously Ronald Mysterios was worried about Dominick's health after Dom got done once again by Brock Lesnar on Friday Night SmackDown. So Ray, who was in the ring with Cain, got Cain and said, Cain, we need to go to the back and check on his health because he might be dying. But Ray was just so concerned about the health and well-being of his not biological son that he found the time to have a Penelope pit stop. And in that Penelope pit stop, Ray had the time to take off his sling and then take off his jacket and then put his sling back on, because that was necessary. And it was obvious to me, at least watching with my hack theory in mind, that Ronald Mysterios, the penny dropped inside of his head. He thought, oh no, I'm not going to feel the benefit once I go outside after Friday Night SmackDown had finished if I keep this coat on any longer. So he got that coat off as quick as he could. Good decision, Ray. And a quick reminder now that Cain Velasquez can speak perfect English, yet for some reason WWE are having him speak entirely Spanish. And next up, we've got to make it a WTF moment with historical context in mind. We have Terence Bollea, old Hulk Hogan, speaking in such glowing terms about little, very small men. Hello, Declan Donnelly, like Ali and Shorty G. And I can't have been the only one wondering what the hell Billy Kidman must have been thinking when Hogan was saying those words there, the poor bugger. I'm with you, Billy. Made a grave mistake, Corey. Direct quote from Corey Graves once again when he said, "You're not going to get a more valued opinion in our business than Hulk Hogan's." And I reckon I know a few people who will not value Hulk Hogan's opinion one bit here in 2019, as I'm sure you at home do too. But while we had a grave mistake there, we end this WTF Moments video for last week's Friday Night SmackDown with a wonderful little moment from Corey Graves when he said Hogan better be careful, he might get himself exiled. 2015 says hello, Corey. And that is it for the WTF Moments from this week's Friday Night SmackDown, and all I can say is that I am very excited for Crown Jewel 2019. Thanks for watching. Let us know what you think in the comments below. You can follow us on Twitter at Cultaholic. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. And if you enjoy what we do here at Cultaholic, you can pledge to our Patreon page, patreon.com/Cultaholic. Hit subscribe and join us